And welcome back to Jeff Kinange live here at Citizen Television. Now, a good memoir doesn't come without its own controversy, and there's going to be a lot of controversy when Lee Njiro's memoir is released in a few days' time. It's called The President's Pressman. Already, there are those calling foul out there, and we'll get to that in a little moment. But Lee Njiro was the presidential spokesman for more than 40 years. He knows the inner workings of State House like probably no other spokesman of our time. And I'm glad he's put this in book form, no matter how it's received. Lee Njiro, welcome to the bench.
Thank you, Jeff.
Karibu sana, bro.
Thank you.
So how long did it take you to write this book? And
2 years.
It took you only 2 years?
Yeah, only 2 years.
Wow. Now, you had been working under President Moi for 40 years.
Yes, 42 years.
42 years.
Yes.
And President Kenyatta?
1.5 years.
1.5.
Yes.
So most of your life, you lived literally in State House?
Yes, in a State House and in a suitcase. Because we were traveling all over the world.
What made you write the book, Lee?
I wrote the book because I was under pressure from many, many people, including one Jeff Koinange. He was pestering me every moment.
Yeah.
He wanted me to write the book. Charles Njonjo also was telling me every time we met, you have to write the book, because he told me working in the State House in such a job of very high stakes was very difficult. He did not even know how I survived. The late Jinji Kariuki, minister, he used to whisper to me that working in such a position is like a tongue, which is in between the teeth, a very, very precarious position. So he told me survival was difficult, and I had to tell the people the techniques, the strategy I used to survive.
How did you survive, Lee? How did you survive 43 plus years?
First of all, Moi told me a long time ago that if you want to survive in any position, you have to act like a fool in most cases. Because if people think you are very sharp, they'll bring you down very, very quickly. So sometimes I survived because I pretended to be foolish. And again, I knew that working in such a position, it attracts jealousy and envy, not only from people you do not know, even from your relatives. Because you see, where there is power, and there is money, and there is influence, always people tend to envy you. There's a lot of jealousy. So actually, you have to use a lot of strategies, sometimes deceit, sometimes you have to tread very carefully. Like I knew where I was working, I had many enemies, especially in terms of tribalism. If a certain tribesman stepped on my feet, I knew they were looking for me. So I would say, oh, I'm very sorry. I'm very sorry. I'm the one who put my foot where it should not be. If they called me an idiot, say, oh, thank you very much. So you know, I am one. So you avoid controversies. It's very, very difficult to survive in such a job. You have to be very smart.
Yeah.
Very, very smart.
What was it about President Moi that he trusted you so much?
Yes, he trusted me because I was honest. I did not cheat him. I did not lie to him. And then most of the people, when they are employed in State House and they have money and power, it gets to their hand. And you see, alcohol becomes sweet at midnight and at 2 a.m. In fact, when alcohol starts getting sweet, that's the time you should stop. So I would take a little alcohol because I used to work up to about 9 p.m. every day. So now if I pass through a bar to have a glass of whiskey, I would pretend that I'm coming from another bar. So I find people who are drinking at 5, they are already drunk. So they will not even know how much I have taken. So if I sit with them for 30 minutes and I take a glass of wine, they would think I've taken 10 like them. So I survived by deceit. Yes. And sometimes when you go to work, you cheat people that your electricity has been disconnected, that your water has been disconnected. So they say, this guy is already finished. Why should we bother about him? His electricity has been disconnected. So you must survive sometimes by telling lies.
Tell us some of the things that are in the book that we should expect, Lee. Tell us some of the front row things you were able to witness.
In the State House, there was a lot of backstabbing, a lot of jealousy. There was a lot of infighting, even witchcraft. I have written about witchcraft in the State House, and some people have been appalled. People don't believe it. And the people who do not believe that there was witchcraft in the State House, they should remember that in 1994, the president, Mzee Moi himself, he established a presidential commission on devil worship. And it was headed by Archbishop Nicodemus Grema. Among those people who are in the commission were people like Reverend Jonas Kaleri, people like Reverend Joe, people like Moinde, very many people. So people have been calling me because they do not believe it. So I reminded them, even Mzee Moi knew there was witchcraft in the State House.
Like what would happen? What kind of witchcraft?
For example, because working in the State House is very lucrative. The allowances are very fat. Foreign trips, a lot of influence. People respect you when you work for State House because they think you are near power. They think you can get them jobs, or you can make a telephone call to some place so that they can be given waivers. So nobody wants to be removed from State House. So if you feel that your position is threatened, if you feel inadequate, some of them used to seek divine interventions. They go to the occult. They go to dark forces. It used to happen.
And you witnessed this?
Yes, I witnessed it. I witnessed everything. For example, one time, Mzee Moi came very early in the morning. We did not expect him so early. And then he had visitors. The visitors asked for a photograph. And the photographer on duty had not arrived. So he had to break into his cabinet. And we found his camera tied with the tail of a squirrel. Yeah, yes. But because I do not believe in witchcraft, I use a camera and I got beautiful photographs, beautiful pictures. Yes.
What did you do with his squirrel's tail?
Well, I told the man to stop that nonsense when he came. Yeah, he was. Yeah, I not tell Mzee Moi. Yeah, because you do not destroy people because of such small things. Because they have wives, they have got children, they have got sick mothers, and this kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you just give them a warning. Yes.
When you started with President Kenyatta, you were very young.
Yes, 28.
You're 28.
Yes.
Now, there's already a complaint. Someone, former Coast PC Eliud Mahehu's daughter,
Yes.
Lucy Wamboi Yinda,
Yes.
took out 1/3 page out of the newspaper to complain about this book already.
Yes.
And the way that you have described her father. She says this is traumatizing and anguish. Mr. Njiro's appalling narrative on the late Mzee Kenyatta's last moments before his demise on August 22nd, 1978, which to my mind imputes ill motive on the part of my late father.
First of all, I would like to thank that very gracious lady. I do not know her, but I know the husband, Edwin Yinda, is my friend. She says her father worked for a long time. The father did not work longer than me. I worked for the public service, for the Republic of Kenya, for 46 years. So in matters of serving the Republic of Kenya, I'm senior. Number two, my job as a journalist is to recount from the ringside what is happening. I know, because I read what she says, is that her father and Alexander Gitau had no powers to stop Mzee Jomo Kenyatta from going to Msambweni, even though they knew that he was sickly and he was weak. I want to ask the leader, if Jomo Kenyatta expressed the wish to jump into the Indian Ocean, would they not have stopped him? There are many ways of stopping a president from undertaking such a precarious trip because it was life-threatening. They could have ganged up Mr. Mahihu, the comptroller of State House, Alexander Njoroge Gitau, the PC, Mahihu himself, the provincial police officer, Gichuke, even the commander of the Navy, Colonel Eliud Mbilu. They could have ganged up and cheated Mr. Jomo Kenyatta for his own sake, that the very at Mutongwe had broken down. Who would have known? To save a president's life, you can go to any length. You're supposed to go to any length. Okay, granted. Mzee Kenyatta collapsed in Msambweni. Okay, let's say they allowed him to go there. When he collapsed, why didn't they take him to hospital? Jeff, if I collapse here now. You do not take me to my home in Lavington and then put me in bed and tuck me in and leave me there. Pandia Memorial Hospital is just across from State House, Mombasa. Why did they not take him to hospital? Furthermore, Bio Koinange, his Minister of State, his friend, his confidant, his brother-in-law, left Mzee sickly, took a flight, Kenya Airways, to Nairobi. What was more compelling on the part of Mahihu and Bio Koinange to leave Mzee in such a state? They said they had no capacity to cancel the Msambweni trip. Then why, the same day, did they cancel the entertainment in the evening? The choirs, school choirs, the traditional dances, they were told, you are not performing today, you may go. They were disappointed. They said they had no capacity to cancel the Msambweni trip, and the evening they canceled the entertainment in the evening. That is the question I want them to answer. And furthermore, when you are given such a responsible position, you are accountable to the people of Kenya. You have to be audited. You have to be investigated. You have to answer questions. So people should not say that they worked for a long time. I also worked for a long time. Mahew did not work longer than me. Mahew died in 2008. From 1963, how many years are those? And he had retired. I have worked for 46 years in the public service. So nobody can try to intimidate me by long service. I'm one of the longest serving public servants in Kenya. So matters of longevity in public service cannot intimidate me.
So those who start saying things that, that you're making things up here, what do you tell them?
To write their own book and put the record straight. I have written mine.
Yes.
If you think I am telling a lie, write yours and put the record straight and tell us from which position, from which premise are you writing. I was at the ringside. Yes. As it was happening, and I'm a trained journalist, a trained government information officer with government money. So I know how, and I keep my records for the last 40 years. If you ask me what happened every day, I'll bring you the books here. I've got this pile of books. Yes.
What was the lowest moment during Moi's time? Was it obviously the coup of 82? Was that the lowest moment?
That was one of them. But something which made me traumatized is when we had an accident in Limuru. That was in 2006. We were coming from Scott Theological College. It was 29th of July in Machakos. Then we had an accident. When we came to Nairobi Hospital,
When you say we, was the president involved as well? Oh.
Yes, in the accident. We, Mzee Moi and myself, were in the same car. Yes, because when we left, when we had the accident, we were taken to Nairobi Hospital. And because our knees were terribly damaged, Dr. Silverstein flew, one of the top surgeons, specialist on knees from New England, Boston. His name was Professor Dinesh Patel, one of the top 10 orthopedic surgeons. When Mzee Moi was being wheeled out of the theater, I was being wheeled in. He was operated on by Professor Dinesh Patel. And Professor Ayim was an anesthetist. So when he was operated on, Mulinge, General Mulinge, Jackson Mulinge, had been flown from South Africa, where he had a stomach operation. Mulinge was under ward upstairs. Mzee Moi was downstairs. Mulinge expressed a wish to be brought down to stay with Mzee Moi, to greet him. You know, those two men had blue uniforms, hospital uniforms. Blue, very cheap material. Mzee Moi had a drip. I looked at them, at these two people, they looked helpless. And imagine, a few years earlier, they were the two most powerful people in Kenya. They had left their expensive suits, tailored at Savile Row in London, Mayfair. But they had left them in the house, and they were wearing very cheap material and helpless. And they were being touched here and there by nurses. And under normal circumstances, if you touched them, you'd have been beaten to a pulp. Or
worse.
That was my lowest moment. And then I said, my God, can it come to this? These two powerful men looking helpless, wearing blue hospital uniforms, living in their expensive suits at home. That was my lowest moment.
By the way, what kind of accident was it? You hit another car, you rolled, or you...
No, we had a head-on collision with a pickup, which was being driven by Catholic fathers. Yes. At a place called Rukuma in Limuru. Yes.
Were they hurt?
Yes, they stayed in a hospital for close to 1 year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, well, they were wrong. Because they just, cut into the road,
Into the convoy?
Yes, into the convoy.
How long were you all in hospital?
I was in the hospital for 2 months.
2 months?
Yes.
The president?
1 month. Less than 1 month. They created a ward for him at the Cabernet in Gardens. A whole hospital. Some nurses were moved there. Equipment was moved there. That's why it is important to be a big person.
State House was being run from...
By that time, he had retired.
Oh, 2006, that's right, yes.
Yes, he had retired, yeah. Oh. He retired on 30th December 2002.
That's right.
Yes.
Okay.
That was my lowest moment. Because I looked at him, I felt very, very bad. Very bad. Your boss, your president, your mentor, your protector, when you find him helpless, it was my lowest moment.
Lee, I want to take a quick break. There's so many questions, and I know people are asking a lot of questions. By the way, when's the book going to be available? This week?
This week.
This week, huh?
On Sunday.
In most bookshops?
On Sunday.
And you have a launch in Nakuru?
Yes, I have a launch in Nakuru. It will be on 31st of this month. Sarova, Woodlands, in Nakuru, 4 p.m.
And then from there, be available everywhere.
It will be available everywhere.
It's called
we shall announce.
It's called the President's Pressman.
The President's Pressman, a memoir.
A memoir. Remember that, folks. It's going to be a great read, fascinating read. All the intrigues. This man, Lee Njiru, had a front row seat to history unfolding for more than 4 decades. How about that? This is history you want to know, especially with 12 days to go before the general election. Keep tweeting at Koinange Jeff, at Citizen TV Kenya, the hashtag JK Live. JK Live takes a break. We'll be back in a moment.